Hi there, hello, salut, bonjour. I hope you're doing very well from wherever you're watching at this moment. It's always special for me to connect with you as we try to make sense of events happening across the globe, specifically in the Republic of Cameroon. Once again, thank you all for continuously sharing this platform within your circles, for leaving a thumbs up if you like it, and so YouTube can share with like-minded people. For those of you who leave comments, very appreciated, very insightful, and we read everything and take it very seriously. Thank you also for those that are reaching out with super thanks. The button that is below that has a dollar sign on it. For doing any form of financial gesture towards this platform is really something that we do not take for granted, and we are appreciative. Thank you all as you do all these basic things where you connect, you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you like the content, and above all, leave your thoughts. Tell us what's on your mind. It's very important for us to continue to shine a spotlight on the Republic of Cameroon. As you know, we take our reference often when we talk about the election that took place on October 12th, because since then, it's almost like a domino effect. So many things are happening in different parts of the country, because Cameroonians in their immense majority say they voted for change on October 12th, and they're yet to see that change. Because even those who believe that they were voting for the 92-year-old President Biya, the incumbent, who has been in office for the last 43 years as president, because before that he was prime minister. Even those who say they voted for him are also now coming out of the woodworks, championing for change, because that change is important to come for Cameroonians. This is a pivotal moment in the life of Cameroon. And on this platform, we're doing our very best to continue our focus on civic education and opening a platform for public discourse on good governance and democracy on many issues. But today, we're focusing on Cameroon, as we've been doing for the last couple of weeks. And please, when you join for the first time, make sure you watch other videos on the platform to understand the context. It may be hard for us to always reference things from the beginning. So when you join, please just catch up so we can continue and give you fresh updates off the top and back it up with analysis and in-depth editorials. And today is no exception. It's December 10th, 2025. And we know that you've all seen the images. If you haven't, we'll show you. We'll take you to Mutengene, because within the last 24 to 48 hours, a lot has happened in Cameroon, as it continues to do. We talked about Minganga not just long ago, and you saw bulldozers. You know, things that will make you scratch your head and ask yourself, are we really in a country that is ruled by, governed by the rule of law, so to speak? But then when you see things like this, you begin to wonder, because these images, you know, they really describe the Republic of Cameroon better than any press release. And we start off with Mutengene, where residents block the Mutengene-Tiko road because parts of the town have been without electricity for over 9 months. And we also take you to Yaoundé access, where we are still counting the cost of truckers' blockade that started on December 3rd, 2025, and was crushed in a night-time operation, as we showed you. But now the real fight is over who controls the checkpoints and who pockets the money. Meanwhile, in Yaoundé, on Monday night, December 8th, 2025, Samuel Eto'o sits for a big TV interview broadcast on many platforms, many TV networks, and a plethora of radio stations. Right in the middle of the show, the lights go off and he shouts,
"Oh, Eneo,"
live in the capital. So we have Mutengene in darkness, Minganga route right up to Garabulai along all those areas under heavy corruption. Eto'o under studio lights until even the lights rebel. Today, as always, we will do a civic diagnostic. We will explore Mutengene's blackout and what the local administrator actually told the people. We'll go to Minganga to follow the developing story, not just bulldozers, but a war over checkpoints, a minister's order ignored, and road money that never reaches the tarmac or the state treasury. We'll also talk about new lessons from the October 12 election and the October 27 proclamation and the deaths that follow. We'll touch on Samuel Eto'o's interview as a mirror and a distraction, of a country collapsing in light, roads, and trust. And finally, us citizens who explode spontaneously but did not hold the line when the fake results were read. Now, let's start where the lights have been off the longest. Mutengene, we are not animals. That's what we heard on Tuesday morning, December 9, 2025. Residents of Mutengene in the southwest region pour into the streets and block the Mutengene-Tiko road. According to people on the ground, large parts of the town have had no stable electricity for more than 9 months. They don't say frequent cuts. They say 9 months without light. And might I remind us that this is not the first time we're seeing them come out to protest. The last time we saw them, not long ago, was at the Eneo office. And of course, we would expect to see all media platforms in Cameroon covering this particular issue, among others. And that is why you'll be shocked that it's been 9 months. We only saw Equinox Television and a few others were able to highlight when they went to the Eneo headquarters or Eneo offices. Because we need to know what is going on in real time, especially stations like the state media that benefits from taxpayer France CFA. Because what happened on Tuesday should not have been necessary had this story been amplified and the solutions that are being proposed actually realized. As you see in the video, you see youth, mothers, bike riders, traders standing across the road shouting, "We need light, we are not animals." Traffic is blocked, long lines of vehicles. For once, the country sees in broad daylight what it means to be abandoned by the greed. Then the Divisional Officer, the DO for Tiko, Mr. Nokuri Samuel Ekpa, arrives. And in front of the cameras and the crowd, he says so many things, and we're going to focus on 3.
Now hear me, I don't be politician, I don't do politics.
Yes, Papa, we hear you.
I come on Tiko and because of Una. Una problem, I'm a problem.
Yes, Papa.
I don't sleep, Una not sleep.
I don't do politics. Your problem is my problem. I cannot sleep if you cannot sleep. He adds that, according to the electricity company, new transformers are being brought in for the area and Mutengene will be part of the plan. No precise date, but the usual promise: it will be fixed. On the human side, we acknowledge this. In a country where many administrators hide behind uniforms and prefectorial offices, seeing a DO stand bareheaded in front of an angry population and speak calmly is not nothing. But journalism does not stop at empathy. We have to ask the deeper questions. Number 1, how can a town live 9 months in the dark in a country that re-elected the same president less than 2 months ago, in an area that was purported to have voted in favor of that president, even if it's by a slim margin? The presidential elections was held on October 12, 2025. Of course, the Constitutional Council on October 27 declared Paul Biya, 92 years old, winner with 53.6% of the vote, and Issa Chuma Bakari was credited 35% according to those results. We are told this reflects the freely expressed will of the people. Yet in Mutengene, people have been in the dark for over 9 months. Shops have closed. Students revise with candles. Families pay bills for electricity they barely see. Is it realistic that these same voters living in these conditions said on October 12, yes, 7 more years of continuity, please? Technically, you can run a paper ballot election without electricity. We know that. But politically and morally, the contradiction is enormous. Number 2, what does it mean for a Dio to say, I don't do politics? In the center of a political failure, electricity is not neutral. Deciding how much money goes to maintaining lines is politics. Deciding which town gets transformers and which one waits 9 months is politics. Allowing a private utility to cut and restore power with little accountability is politics. Yes, we did see recently that, the state proposed or took over Eneo or signed a contract to take it back. No, the government, the same Biya regime, sold AES Sonel in order to have what we now have, Eneo. But it's been the same thing. The power outages in many parts of the country, it's just not something you can talk about in one day. Whereas the country has enormous potential. But let's keep on with the story. When a Dio says, I don't do politics, it sounds humble, but it can also mean I am here to manage your anger, not to confront the system that left you here. That may be honest, but we must name it. This is crisis management and not governance reform. Have you stopped to ask yourself this very simple question? Who is a divisional officer in Cameroon? Who is a Dio? A Dio is the direct representative of the head of state. In this case, the president that was proclaimed by the Constitutional Council, Paul Biya. This Dio represents Mr. Paul Biya directly. And the president, Paul Biya, is a politician. His representative is a politician by default. Because whatever discussions they have in the governing structure of Cameroon, it is connected by political ambitions. And that is why it is strange that the Dio is speaking on behalf of Eneo, because the CPDM, the Dios and the governors all seem to be part of the same cloth. How does that even play out? It's not for nothing that every time you hear they're talking about any debate that affects the life of the country, look on every TV platform, you will hear un représentant du RDPC. You're talking about finance issues, un représentant du RDPC. You're talking about anything, energy, economics, anything, un représentant du RDPC. On every TV platform, any platform that hosts a panel of different call it professionals that come to debate important topics. Of course, they will also tell you that, well, on the other side, you have representatives from different political parties. No, these are not political debates. Even when you have a debate that has the nature of a technical angle, you would always hear le représentant du RDPC. What are they doing there? They are people that are there to defend that particular institution, not just because of their political party. No. You're talking about Eneo, representant du RDPC, is on the TV platform. You're talking of Menganga, the gendarmes, representant du RDPC. What are they defending? They are not defending their party. They are there to defend the people that are called to question by default, because it is the same thing. The state is the party is the state. And that is the mentality that came from colonial era and through the what they call unitary party system. And now it's been transported. Even in a democratic semblance of democratic system, they still practice the same manners, the same ways. However, I don't want to stray too far off because I want us to stay on topic and continue to emphasize the different items that we've outlined. And the key question that we have to ask now is this: where were we as citizens when it still mattered to stop this peacefully? Mutengene forces us to look in the mirror. The same people who can block the road today, and their right to demand light, could have been outside council offices, outside election branches, outside courts, to go to any length to defend the vote, to make sure that the system that kept them in darkness for 7.5 months prior to that election should not continue to keep them in darkness as it has done. Because defending the truth of their vote with the same energy, peacefully, in numbers, and for more than just a few hours, seemed to have been the thing that would have yielded the best results. You should remember this. The people are sovereign. The people can change anything they want if they come together as a united front. Those people who like to say people are being manipulated, the youth were manipulated by politicians, they were assailants, they were drug addicts. What are they going to say about these people on the street? Are they drug addicts? Are they assailants? Were they sent by a politician? Did Issa Chiruma tell these people to go sit there and talk about electricity for 9 months in Mutengene, in a country endowed and rich that has all the resources? Did anyone send them there? Because everything, when people talk about basic necessities, they say they are instrumentalized. Ils sont instrumentalisés. I know that Mutengene is in the southwest region, and for so long the Anglophones have suffered the toll of this regime ever since the Anglophone crisis peaked. Because before the Anglophone crisis, there used to be SCNC. And we do know that Anglophones have gone through a lot, because the SCNC used to speak up every October. And even before then, they had activities. But you see, ever since 2016 hit and 2017 and the aftermath after the arrest of the Agbobalas, the Fontaine-Nebas and everything that happened, as you also heard when Honorable Biya went to the National Assembly and said very boldly and clearly to the regime exactly what we're witnessing today. That part of the country has been abandoned for too long. And when people from the Anglophone region speak up, at the time, those people from the other side of the Mungo were saying it doesn't concern us, or at least they did not bother. Because had they bothered, probably Cameroon would not be where it is today. And that is why when the political crisis or the post-election crisis ensued, it was not so strange when we heard people from this side of the Mungo on the Anglophone side say they will not put I will not put my mouth there, as they say. I'm not going to put my mouth for day. It doesn't concern me, because let them fight. Now is their time to fight. We've been fighting for 9 years. Where were they? But you see, Cameroon is a united front. It's a country that people have already intermarried. People have already bought properties on all sides of the territory. It's easy to just sit and say this side, that side. But guess what? Anything that happens on one side affects the other. And it's not about taking sides. It's about working for the common good of the entire country. Because as long as the people in Eto'o continue to be in Eto'o, the people in Biya, the people in Mutengene will not have peace. Not to say that you have to oust them by force. We're telling you that this is a fact. So we should know this and understand what is at stake. For as long as the system that is in place, that has been there for 43 years, is in place, things like this will continue to happen. But the question is, okay, what do we do about it? Yes, only the people, the sovereign, have the power to change any system. If Cameroonians say they don't want this system would not be there. It's metaphorical, but that is just the truth. Nobody from outside is going to come to save Cameroonians. Nobody from outside is going to come and put electricity in Cameroon. If Cameroonians rise up in their numbers, close to 30 million people or more, let's say those of voting age could constitute about maybe 15, 18 million, or maybe those above 15, 16 years old, because in other countries, people do training to protect their country at the ages of 15. Yes, the day Cameroonians would decide that enough is enough, enough will be enough. Because up to now, it seems to be very sporadic and spontaneous. And that is why I'm saying that Mutengene forces us to look into the mirror and see ourselves. Fear and fatigue are real, but power reads our silence as consent. 9 months in the dark is not only a technical story, it is also the political price of our retreats. There comes a time in the life of a nation where if you don't call things the way they are, by the name they have, you risk plunging the next generation into the same abyss. People need to understand this. Cameroon needs to come first, not personal interest. And I can bet you right now that Yaoundé, instead of thinking of how to provide electricity in Mutengene, there are folks busy trying to figure out who are those that led the revolt for people to go and sit on the street, so that they should isolate them and deal with them behind the scenes and make sure that they show and set an example so it never repeats itself again. Let me tell you a side story. Someone once called me right after I did a show at the beginning of the Anglophone crisis. And someone called me to ask about what I was talking about. And they saw the show. It's on YouTube, Omega Studios. You can type it out. I mean, again, I've said I will show it on this platform. And they asked me, what's going on in Cameroon? And why is this situation like this? You know, with all the intellectuals I've seen from Cameroon, you know, very smart people, hardworking. They're all over the world. They're thriving, you know. The most lovely, jovial people I meet, you know, in Africa, they come from Cameroon, you know, knowledgeable, well-read, and so on, dynamic. And what's going on? Why is it that Cameroonians, even those within Cameroon, what has the government done to them that they are so docile that they can rise up and fight for change and, you know, fight for what is right and restore some order and do things the way it should be done? And why would they have a president that is absent, never there, yet he's governing them? What is really going on? And I said to them, anyone who has studied the regime in Yaoundé, who has studied the system, especially what they call Biyaism, under Biya, whatever, this regime that is in office, that has been there for the last 43 years. I mean, we can forget about Amadou Ahidjo because, you know, Biya has actually gone way, 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 way beyond Amadou Ahidjo's tenure. And I said, anyone that takes the time to study this regime would come across a few patterns. And one of them is this. If anyone stands up to protest against anything, instead for the regime, there are people in the regime that instead for them to find a solution for that thing, they are ready to use twice the amount, if not even more, four times the amount of money it would take or resources it would take to fix that thing, to eliminate the person that complained about that thing. Listen to this carefully. An example, say something costs 1 million francs CFA to fix, and people take to the street, or people complain about it, or people protest, or people rise up, or someone comes out to criticize it, be it, it could be Le Messager, it could be, you know, any media, anybody, anywhere, an opposition figure, or so on and so forth, civil society. The regime, the people in the regime, there are people in the regime that are ready to spend twice the amount of money it would take to fix that thing, only to track this person, to crush them, to eliminate them, to make them know that how dare they complain about this thing, whereas the state is the state and the state is doing everything right. That is just one example. That's just one pattern. Look at it everywhere. And that's why I'm telling you that right now, instead of fixing this electricity problem, there are people already trying to identify who are the people that are leading that rebellion. They always give it a negative name. Who are the people that are leading that? C'est vous qui causez le trouble. They are looking for those people to make sure that, because, you know, the people sat on the road, the lights were there, the camera, I mean, the sunlight was there, the cameras were rolling. People have seen the videos, right? Yes, that's one thing. But when it's nighttime, everybody goes home and everybody's in their neighborhoods. what happens? We've seen it during this particular protest. People were kidnapped, basically. Their eyes were blindfolded and shoved into unidentified vehicles, taken overnight, and your neighbor says nothing. Sometimes your neighbor is too frightened to even peep through the window. And your neighbor, the next person is gone. No information, no communication, no identification. Families have lost loved ones. They don't even know where they are. These are stories that we see these are stories that we read them, we see them, we hear them. It's heart-wrenching. So sometimes other Cameroonians see that, they hear that, they are frightened. But they should always remember that it only takes a handful of committed people to bring about change in any society. And that handful can be multiplied if it's concerted, if it's structured. Because what we're seeing should not continue again. I can bet money on it that Mutengene, that part of town, will see electricity. And the only reason they will see electricity is because we continue to shine a spotlight on that particular issue and on the country. And they will do it in order to calm down the tension. But we must make sure it lasts. And among other things, it doesn't have to be spontaneous. That's why Cameroonians need to realize the power of a concerted, structured resistance that is long-standing, not spontaneous. Because Issa Chiruma Bakari is not going to come and make miracles. No, he's not going to come and make miracles. Cameroonians will have to do it. And it's always been the case in any country, any part in the world where there's been any meaningful resistance. It's always been the people. And what are you resisting in the first place? You're resisting things like corruption. You're resisting a system that wants to hold your development back. You're resisting a system that decides to take away your vote or take away part of your future. Whatever the thing is, you've identified it. You can't keep complaining and say you voted for the person in office. That's what we're saying, that there's a mismatch. There's so much more we can talk about, but I'll stop here for today because I know on this very platform there's so many episodes that you can go into and get information relating to different specific updates. But this particular one was just a quick I would call it refresher, just to get us back to the essential. And I thank you for watching. And until the next one, may God bless Cameroon.